Step 5 is to maximize the protective components in the diet. The fiber, the phytochemicals and antioxidants, the pre and probiotics. We'll just go through these really quickly. Fiber, how much is recommended? Well, 38 grams a day for men, 25 for women. How much do we actually get? Well, most people about 15 to 17 grams a day. Vegans, 35 to 40 for women and 45 to 60 for men. Anybody hazard to get, well, I'm telling you here, but how much people ate in Paleolithic times? 70 to 150 plus grams a day. That was what people got back then. And so what is optimal? Well, probably optimal is at least 40 grams a day to, 40 to 80 grams a day, somewhere in there. And certainly vegans are at an advantage because all plant foods contain fiber. All whole plant foods. So how much? Well, you get 10 to 20 grams in a cup of beans or lentils. Lentils are about 16, navy beans are about 19, just for example. Avocados, about 13.5 in one avocado. That's amazing to me. I would have never thought they were a really rich source, and that's not including the skin, by the way. You don't have to eat that. And grains, about 5 to 10 in a cup. Berries, about 3 to 8. And then fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds other than berries would be in the 2 to 5 range per serving. And of course, only plant foods contain fiber. The low fiber foods are the refined carbohydrate foods, fast foods, highly processed foods, and the no fiber foods are meat, poultry, fish, dairy, and of course, oils and sugars. So we want at least 12 to 20 grams of fiber per meal from a variety of whole plant sources. Phytochemicals and antioxidants, we just need to be maximizing these in our diets because they afford powerful protection against disease. Phytochemicals, these are plant chemicals and antioxidants, literally put a lid on inflammation and oxidative stress. So we need them in our diet. And one of the things I should mention here is that if you take antioxidants or phytochemicals and you package them in a pill form, they don't do the same thing as they do when they come from food. And as a matter of fact, their intake in that form could backfire, as it has in some studies. Do you remember in 1980s, they found people with high levels of beta-carotene had low levels of lung cancer? So they did several studies giving beta-carotene to people who were at risk for lung cancer, smokers. And what they found is the people who took the beta-carotene ended up with more cancer, not less. And so you go, why? How could that be? Well, it could be because when you eat carotenoids from foods, you're eating 50 or 60 different kinds of carotenoids, not just one. And it may be that a variety of those carotenoids are needed in order to work synergistically to provide the protection. And when you load your body up with just beta-carotene, maybe you actually prevent the absorption of some of those others because your body thinks it's got enough carotenoids. So we don't know for sure, but it's always better to be getting those protective antioxidants and phytochemicals from whole foods. And we know these compounds can help to reduce our risk of disease. So how do we maximize intake? Well, to start with, we want to think variety. So instead of always having the same grain, or instead of always having the same nut or seed or the same vegetable, mix it up because each one provides something a little different. And so the whole works. It's not just fruits and vegetables that provide these antioxidants and phytochemicals. It's all of the plant foods. We want to think color. So the richest sources are often the most colorful. So instead of white onions, choose purple onions. Instead of, brown rice, choose black or red rice. Instead of white beans, choose red or purple beans or whatever, and you get the idea. But generally, even with lettuces, you want deeper green rather than lighter green. You always want to go for color when you can. So if you're buying quinoa, if you could buy the red or black, it just gives more antioxidants. And certainly it doesn't mean you can't eat the beige or the white colored grains. They're fine too. but just mix it up so you have a variety of colors in your repertoire. So, and with vegetables and fruits, you want to eat the whole rainbow. I would say at least 3 green, 2 orange, yellow, 2 red, pink, 1 purple, blue, and 1 white, beige every day. And so when you make a salad, one of the little goals you can have for yourself is to see if you can reflect the whole rainbow in your salad. And even try to include things that have unusual colors, like watermelon radishes that are this unique fuchsia pink. You know, try to get that mix of all sorts of different colors. Increase your intake of raw foods. And the reason we talked about plant enzymes, but some plant enzymes help you to convert the phytochemicals in foods into their active forms, what we call bioactive metabolites. And so, for example, there's myrosinase in cruciferous vegetables that helps to convert glucosinolates into isothiocyanates. And isothiocyanates, like things like sulforaphane, for example, are potent inducers of phase 2 enzyme systems that help to convert actually help to convert toxic compounds into water-soluble compounds so you can excrete them from the body. So very, very important function. If you cook your broccoli, you kill the myrosinase and you get less conversion. Okay, so having some of these cruciferous vegetables raw is helpful. And it's the same with the allium vegetable. There's an enzyme called allanase that helps to convert allan to allicin, which again is the active form. So having some raw in a salad dressing, or even chopping it and letting it sit for 10 or 15 minutes before you throw it in your soup. You'll get more of the conversion happening. And then you want to add sprouts. I saw some wonderful sprouts over here, and just unbelievably amazing foods, because what happens when you sprout a food is you're sending a message to the seed that it's time to let the phytochemical army explode, because the phytochemicals are what protects the plant. And so when that little seed has to protect the plant, it's got to multiply its army of protection. So in some cases, like in broccoli sprouts, the sulforaphane content is 50 to 100 times higher than it is in mature broccoli. In a lot of grains, it increases 100, 200, 300, 400, 500% when you sprout. Not only that, but when you're telling a seed to grow, you do a couple things. You reduce anti-nutrients and you release the stored forms of nutrients so that the plant has the nutrients it needs to grow. So it's wonderful transformation in this plant when you sprout. More phytochemicals, less anti-nutrients, so it's all good. And then you want to pile on the herbs and spices. And this is something that we need to think more about. I think herbs and spices should be a food group in of themselves. And certainly we think about the colorful herbs and spices, the reds and the golden colors like in turmeric. And these are some of the most potent anti-inflammatory compounds known to mankind. They're just incredibly powerful. And we need to use them. In your breakfast, you can add cloves and nutmeg and cinnamon and all of these kinds, or you can do a savory breakfast and include, a wide variety. But at every meal, think about adding herbs and spices. And then we've got plant-based probiotics and prebiotics. Probiotics are the microorganisms in food that take up residence in our gut and help to support a healthy gut flora. And if our gut flora is healthy, we reduce inflammation, of course. And prebiotics are the food for that flora. So that's what they would eat to keep themselves healthy. And so there are a number of things we can do to shift our gut flora from unhealthy to healthy. We can eat a plant-based diet rich in prebiotics. So prebiotics, where are they? Well, Beans are a wonderful source. Jerusalem artichokes, bananas, onions, and all of the plant foods are sources of these indigestible fibers that feed our gut bacteria. We want to eat food-based probiotics, such as yogurts like almond yogurt or coconut yogurt or any of these kinds of fermented foods, fermented vegetables, sauerkraut, tempeh, miso, all of these probiotic-rich foods. We want to minimize our intake of refined carbohydrates, processed foods, meat, fried foods that can damage our gut microbiota. Take probiotics if you're taking antibiotics, and minimize alcohol, which is quite harmful to your gut microbiome.